Okay, so we're here to talk to you today about what Color Collective is and
elaborate more on what we plan to do now and in the future, and maybe give a little bit of context on who we are as creatives as well, and our role within the Color Collective and where we hope it goes.
what color is generally to us is a contemporary global culture which uses visuals and aesthetics as a way to transform and evolve the way we collectively shape our everyday lives. So basically how we shape culture.
And as visual artists, we are using visual and aesthetics as a primary method of communication. Some people are performers and they would do dancing or acting or music, and we are kind of more focused on visual, so in the two-dimensional digital realm, and also three-dimension through sculpture or installation art as well. And collectively, we are, not just us two, but the group or the collective that we hope to evolve color into is as a group of visually inclined creatives that seek to highlight artists that have been muted by Eurocentric American culture. So both of us were born and raised in the South of America. I felt like that has been fundamental to how I view aesthetics and the purpose that they serve within American culture, especially specifically now that we're so surrounded by media and entertainment industry, and just the way that images are used to shape our understanding of our American cultural identity.
Yeah, and also being in the South, being considered minorities, and also being women, we're not as represented in Eurocentric history as, as much as we should be. So this is also a way to also build our culture and collectively represent what the South actually looks like right now,
as opposed to letting current American culture define who we are and what our culture should be. So we're kind of taking that back and I guess we could say reappropriating it into something that we feel is more authentic to who we are. To start, we wanted it to be a platform, a space that you can feel, that you can express who you are without having to necessarily justify or validate what you're trying to do, but to just create in a way that allows you to express who you are.
And without being exploited.
Yeah, that's important, which we'll elaborate that in later videos, but for now we kind of just wanted to introduce who we are. But I think that exploitation or the appropriation of, I guess, how Eurocentric culture views us as others, so how they other our culture but still take bits and pieces that they feel are aesthetically or visually pleasing to the eye, but without really understanding the context or the history that had to happen for those aesthetics to be created. Like color choices, patterns, designs, certain letterings and typefaces. It's like
intentionally misinterpreting the message simply because it's not their message to tell. It's up to us to speak up for what our message is, rather than, like you said, letting people who aren't within take our voice and use it for themselves. It's just us taking it back.
So within that, we're creating color as a way to redefine how we view and express our culture identity. So as far as how we view culture, we view it as a constantly evolving characteristic features such as beliefs, values, attitudes of our everyday existence shared by a people in a place and time. So within that, I guess for me, I feel like I want to emphasize that we view culture as a collective product versus an individualistic product, because we are a collective community of people where, while we exist individually, we come together as a community because we realize that that's where our strength is in coexisting and having, I guess, creating this family of creatives where we can exchange ideas, exchange methods of understanding or knowing, making, to inspire one another as well, but also to educate one another on our different perspectives of our everyday life. I guess we don't want to specifically use space or place within our earth as a way to limit or restrict the kind of people that are part of our collective. So we want to be inclusive in that way, but then we also acknowledge that due to us being raised and, I guess, living in Southern America, that is primarily where our strength is at first, and we hope to start making a change first. But we welcome any creatives or artists that feel like our social and cultural ways of making resonate with what they do and make in another space. So we don't necessarily want to divide through national identities or through borders, but more stating the spaces that we do currently have access to. So such as Texas, it's like that's currently where we are living and making. So that's where we're going to start targeting and building our community. But if somebody else in another international space feels like they connect or they resonate with how we view and make culture, then they're welcome. And then once we have the community, we'll have a better idea of how to cater to that specific community instead of creating a space for a community that we don't really know what you guys would need.
The only submissions that we can practically take seriously are the ones that follow all of the requirements. So be sure to definitely submit online from your computer. That way you can provide all of the requirements and be considered.